Shalom and welcome to Secrets Revealed, the Holy Bible. Today we're looking at Numbers chapter 27. Let me just scroll up here. So Numbers chapter 27 has 23 verses. Looking at the first significant difference we find in verses 3 to 4. It says here in the Septuagint, "Let not the name of our father be blotted out of the midst of his people, um, because he has no son." We look at the Masoretic, it says here, um, why should the name, in verse 4, why should the name of our father be done away from among his family? So we can see in the Septuagint, they're saying, don't let this happen because he has no son. Give us an inheritance, is their solution, their proposal. In the Masoretic, it sounds more like they're desperate. Why should the name of her father be done away? They sound like they're complaining, like they're demanding, whereas in the Septuagint, they just sound more like common sense, like reasonable people. Let this not happen. So this has to be done. Uh, Giving us inheritance should be done. In the Masoretic, it says give a possession rather than inheritance. Give us. It says there, give us an inheritance, give unto us a possession. So the difference here is that in the the Septuagint, it's saying, don't let his name be blotted out. So that is biblical language. When your name is blotted out, it's like you never existed. Um, but his name being done away, I just don't think it's as strong. Okay, moving on to verse 6 to 7, a continuous difference. It says here, assign. You shall assign their father's inheritance to them, versus you shall cause the inheritance of their father to pass onto them. It's just by default, it's gonna pass onto you. I don't have to do anything about it. But here you can see in the Septuagint, no, it's something that has to be done. It has to be assigned. Okay, looks like I'm having some sound issues. Just give me a moment to. Okay, so we're back. Verse Next verse is verse 12. The verses I'm ignoring that I'm not mentioning will be in the description box, so you can look at that and look for yourself. It's really not that significant, not noteworthy, I should say, but there are differences. So verse 12, go up to the mountain. This is Yah talking to Moses. Go up to the mountain that is in the country beyond Jordan. This Mount Nebo, in the Greek Nabau, so in the Hebrew it's Nebo, and behold the land Canaan, or in the Greek Chanaan, which I give to the sons of Israel for a possession. So you can see it's quite a long verse. Let's look at the Masoretic now. It says, Yah said to Moses, get you up into this mount, Abarim. So we can see it's naming it in the Masoretic. It's not named. Actually, it is named. It's called Nebo. But it's more specific as to where it is. It's saying it's in the country beyond Jordan, this mountain. And it's called Mount Nebo. Behold the land Canaan in the Septuagint verses, and see the land which I have given to the children of Israel. So we can see two pretty significant differences here. Not only is Yah telling Moses the name of the mountain, Mount Nebo, and where it is. Um, they're naming it Nebo, whereas the Masoretic calls it Abarim. As well, he also tells him the name of the land, which he's giving to the sons of Israel. He's telling them the name is Canaan. Canaan is the name of that land. The Masoretic doesn't name it. There's no name for it in this verse. Okay. And the next one we can see here, get you up. Okay, I've already said that. Verse 13, and you shall see it. So Yah is speaking to Moses, continuing to tell him, you're going to see it, and you also shalt be added to thy people, as Aaron your brother was added to them in mountº. Verses, and when you have seen it, you also shall be gathered to your people, as Aaron your brother was gathered. So it sounds like in the Masoretic, at least to me, it sounds like when Moses sees it, he's going to instantly die. Here in the Septuagint, it sounds like he will see it, but it's not going to cause his death like right away. Like he'll have time, maybe he'll have a little more time to just absorb it and just take in the moment. I don't know. I don't think, I just don't personally think, yeah, Elohim will just let someone see it and then just instantly die. I think he's a little more respectable. He'll give Moses a little more dignity than just instant death. Sounds like, okay, you look at it, maybe you can reflect on something, maybe you can really meditate on things and then when the time is right, not that he's delaying it, but he's showing mercy. I think he would be showing mercy to Moses. That's just my opinion. That's speculation on my part. But looking at everything we've seen so far in the scriptures from Genesis to this point, the truth of the Bible is just Yah is a very reasonable, understanding, compassionate Elohim. And if I have the heart to say, Moses, you deserve at least a few minutes or whatever, you have some time to just internalize what's going to happen, reflect on your life, meditate, and then you're going to be gathered to your people. So you will die in peace. What more Yah would be more merciful than me, who's just just a man. Moving on to verse 14. Because you transgressed my commandment in the wilderness of sin. So he's talking to Moses again. When the congregation resisted, and in brackets, and refused to sanctify me, you sanctified me not at the water before them. This is the water of strife and Kadesh in the wilderness of sin. Okay. Now let's look at the Masoretic. For you rebelled against my commandment in the desert of sin. The language is a lot more stronger, more condemning in the Masoretic of Moses. Yes, he transgressed the commandment, but to say he completely rebelled, I wouldn't call Moses a rebel, in my opinion. And even the Israelites were not called you rebels, as it says in the Masoretic. Anyway, moving on. In the desert of sin, okay, well, desert and wilderness are the same. In the strife of the congregation, so to sanctify me at the water before their eyes, that is the water of Meribah. So Meribah could just very well be the Hebrew word for strife. And yeah, I think that's it for that verse. In the strife of the congregation, okay. So they resisted. I just want to point out they resisted to sanctify Yah as a result of Moses is transgressing the commandment. So the resulting action by the congregation of Israel was to resist. The resulting action of the congregation of Israel in the Masoretic is that there was strife. Not that they resisted to sanctify Yah, but there was strife. They're saying there was there was friction, there was contention. I think it's pretty clear that they were resisting Yah. There was no contention between themselves. They were pretty. It was a consensus that they were just going to resist. Okay, so yeah, moving on to the next verse, verse 16. It says here, "Look out for a man." This is Yah speaking to Moses, saying, "Let Yah Elohim of spirits and of all flesh look out for a man." I should say, Moses speaking to Yah. So he's asking a look out for a man over this congregation. Find somebody to replace me, essentially, versus set a man. So in order to set someone over and replace Moses, he has to be searched out. He has to be found first. So Moses is saying, please let this process start. Find somebody competent and is able to replace him. And he's just concerned for the congregation. So it has to be a searching first in order to set someone. You can't just set somebody over someone without looking out for them or finding them. Verse 17, who shall go out before them? So he's describing this man, and who shall come in before them, and who shall lead them out, and who shall bring them in. So the congregation of Yah shall not be as sheep without a shepherd. Verses which may go out before them, and which may go in before them, and which may lead them out, and which may bring them in, maybe. So it sounds not as sure. Moses is sure he wants this to happen. He shall do this, and he will do this, and he must do it. That's what shall means. It shall be done versus may. So we can see the Septuagint is definitive. The Masoretic, on the other hand, is tentative. It's unsure as to, is this going to happen or not? We're not sure. Which may go out before them. He might do it. Or it can be read as, so he may do this. He would be allowed to do it. In either case, it's not definitive. This isn't a person who seems to be competent, or at least they could be wishy-washy. So you don't want to take chances for the replacement of Moses. You want to make sure this is somebody who's competent and who can get things done. Verse 18, we have an omission here. Shall. It says, "You shall lay your hands upon them." Yah speaking to Moses. So that he did find Yeshua, the son of Nun. And you shall, this is what you're going to do. You shall lay your hands upon him. So that was omitted. It says, lay your hand upon him. And it's actually hands, not just one hand, two hands, which calls to mind the New Testament, where the early believers in Yeshua would be baptized, and then they would have a laying on of hands. That was part of the process. So it harkens back. I should say this is connected to what the New Testament church was doing in a way, if you think about it that way, this symbolism there. Verse 19, we see two omissions. Again, the same word, you shall set him before Eleazar the priest, and you shall give a charge concerning him before them. So there should be a passing of the torch, so to speak. So again, this is definitive. These are commandments from Yah to Moses. It's not optional, like the Masoretic kind of opens that potential erroneous interpretation that Moses could have just said no. Yeah, everyone has a choice, but these are strong statements by Yah to say, you shall do this. You're going to do this. These are commands from me. Verse 20, glory versus honor. And in addition here, it says that all the congregation may be obedient. Um, it's hard to enforce that everybody will be obedient because true obedience is really it starts in the heart. So it's hard to legislate that, to enforce it, to execute it. But on the other hand, the Septuagint is more reasonable, saying, okay, they will listen to him. Not that everyone will just obey him like robots, but um, the children of Israel, whether it's all or some, it doesn't say, but it says the children of Israel. So I'm just going to assume that's everybody, or as a general umbrella statement, they may listen to him. And it's one thing to hear, it's another thing to hear and do. So, but when we think of the word hearken or hearken, that does mean to not just listen, but listen and obey. That's one thing when it comes to Hebraic thinking, and it's important to know the Hebraic perspective of scriptures too, because yes, the Middle East and its culture and Hebraic thinking that's something that gets lost in translation. So no matter how many times I would look at these versions, the Septuagint, the Masoretic side by side, if you don't have somebody to kind of inform you about the culture, that can get lost because it's not something that is plainly explained or taught if you don't live in that culture, or if someone just doesn't tell you, they don't inform you. So that's important as well. I have to uh, make sure I mention that. Verse 21, we see a big difference. It says, he, uh, meaning Yeshua, son of Nun, shall stand before Eleazar the priest. Um, okay, so far it matches up. And they shall ask of him before Yah um, the judgment of the Urim. Uh, they shall go forth at his word, and at his word they shall come in. So the word of Yah, not Joshua's word. He and the children of Israel with one accord and all the congregation. Okay. So why do I say this is a big difference? Um, well, he, talking about Yeshua, they, talking about the children of Israel, ask of him, could be Eleazar. Could be Eleazar. Um, because they are standing before Eleazar the priest, and they shall ask of him, of Eleazar before Yah, the judgment of the Urim, and they shall go forth at his word. So it is, technically it's the word of Yah, but Eleazar is the mediator. He's the in-between guy that they have to go through in order to receive the word, as he is the acting priest, or maybe even high priest in this case. Verses, it says here, he shall stand before Eleazar the priest, who, talking about Eleazar, shall ask counsel for him, Yeshua, uh, for after the judgment of Urim, before Yah at his word. So his word meaning Yah. That's the way I'm reading it. Shall they go out? Um, okay, actually, I should clarify this a little bit better. So the Masoretic is saying who is talking about Eleazar because it follows this description. He shall stand before Eleazar the priest, who shall ask for counsel for him. So we can see this is a big difference. Okay, in the Septuagint, let's just break it down really simply so a 5-year-old can understand it, okay? So number one, we can see very clearly in the Septuagint that he, Joshua, will stand before Eleazar. So it's Joshua right here. Here's Joshua and here's Eleazar. And they will ask Eleazar uh, the judgment of the Urim, which is the word of Yah. So that's how it's done in the Septuagint. In the Masoretic, it says he talking about Joshua shall stand before Eleazar the priest, but it's Eleazar asking counsel for Joshua. So the big difference is not so much who's standing before who, it's who are they asking and why, and who are they asking for. So we can see that they, being the children of Israel, ask him, Eleazar. The children of Israel are the ones asking of Eleazar the judgment of Yah. However, we can see in the Masoretic, it's a big difference because it's not talking about they, it's talking about who. So they broke it down, they changed it, I should say, modified it to a plural, from a plural pronoun to a singular pronoun. So it's now talking of Eleazar is going to ask counsel for Joshua. Okay. Not that the children of Israel asking of Eleazar. So again, the Septuagint is saying, the children of Israel are asking of Eleazar, give us the judgment. What is Yah saying? Masoretic is saying a completely different story. It's saying Eleazar is going to ask uh, for Joshua. So they're replacing the children of Israel with Eleazar, and they're also they're replacing who's being asked. Um, they're asking Eleazar. No, here they're saying that they're asking for Joshua. No, they're asking of Eleazar. Okay, Eleazar, tell us what is the word in the Septuagint. In the Masoretic, it's saying uh, Eleazar is asking, yeah, what what do I counsel Joshua? So it's a completely different story when you break it down. So I had to go through that slowly just so it's clear in my mind and hopefully your mind as well. Moving on, it says here, his word meaning the word of Yah versus his word could be Yeshua's word. Can be interpreted that way. So that's also problematic potentially. We see the word one accord has been omitted. This is important because in the New Testament, they do use this term quite often, that they all had things in common, same beliefs, they shared supplies and things that they needed, and they were in one accord. They were united. It's like where Yah says, "Hear, O Israel, Yah is one," meaning united. Yah is in one accord. I think that's one way to interpret that. But they removed that. It's completely omitted. Uh, the children of Israel are not in one accord. It just says all children of Israel with him. Um, so that's an important point as well. Verse 23, it says appointed. So Moses laid his hands on Yeshua and appointed him versus gave him a charge. Okay, so it's one thing to appoint, or maybe even anoint can be another way to put it. So he's kind of anointed in a way versus, oh, I gave him a commandment. I gave him a responsibility. No, he's been appointed. He is now an official. He is officially an official. You're my replacement. I appoint you. He's passing on the torch. It's not just simply, okay, Joshua, you do this. I gave you a charge. I gave you orders. This isn't an order. No, this is a promotion. This is not just a task to be done, as the Masoretic is saying. This is a promotion. This is honor. He's giving him an honor, as we read earlier. I think it's in verse 20. Gave him a glory, and yeah, an honor is another way to say it. You shall put of your glory upon him. So that's what he's doing. He's giving of his glory, and I'm gonna be open to that honor. That he's giving him an honorable position. He's giving him an honorable appointment. And then it says, and appointed him as Yah ordered Moshe. So Yah ordered him, Moses. He commanded Moses to do this, versus the Masoretic, which is saying, as Yah commanded by the hand of Moses. So it sounds like, okay, Yah commanded Moses, and then Moses commanded himself. I mean, that's the way it sounds a little confusing, I know, but Yah commanded by the hand of Moses. So Yah is the originator of the command, but then Moses is the one passing on the command. To who? Who's he passing it on to? Doesn't say. Whereas the Septuagint is very clear. Yah is the one who gave the order to Moses, and that's why Moses is doing this. So I hope this makes sense for you. This is Numbers chapter 27. May Yah bless you and make your way prosperous. Thank you very much for your time, and look forward to the next video, Numbers chapter 28. Until next time, you've been watching Secrets Revealed, the Holy Bible. Shalom and peace be unto you.